Right, hello guys. Well, for me, this is actually take two because I did actually do a video about half an hour ago. Um, Unfortunately, for some reason, it decided to lose its sound halfway through. I don't know what's possibly wrong with this phone, or there's mic's gone or something. But anyway, this is take two for me. So it's nice to see you all again. I did say that I would do a video based on common issues with the Focus Mark 1. I'm going to do several shortish, 15-minute long videos on common problems with the Mark 1 Focus, Mark 1 related issues, not generic car issues like, oh, my spark plug's gone, my coil pack's gone, or the electric window regulator's gone. That stuff goes on every car. I'm going to focus on basically stuff that goes wrong with a Mark 1, particularly now as the youngest are 17 years old. The youngest were registered in the beginning of 2005, were manufactured at the end of 2004. There's a fair amount still on the roads and are still in the hands of people who haven't got a barely clue about the car. They're not really bothered, they're just, it's an old banger, it's a reliable old banger, and they still ridiculously are. Several of them are, I can imagine quite many thousands of them have been used down the years with minimal maintenance, and they're still soldiering on, most of them with minimal maintenance. But I would suspect that that is coming to a very sudden halt. Sorry, the sun is actually blinding in at the moment. It's a little bit better. Yeah, I imagine that that's going to come to an abrupt end at some point very soon, because these cars are 17 years old. They're going to need a lot of work if they want to remain on the road. This is mainly a video for enthusiasts, like people who want to own these cars long term, or people that are interested in learning new skills and just learning about a bit about more of the car, about what potential issues to look for in several different areas, and that's what we're going to cover this week. This week it's interior. I've decided on starting just start with something inside the car, and then we'll focus on other areas of the car in the coming weeks. So for a start, the main problem, I've already mentioned it before: instrument clusters. They can go, they get damp, they get dry soldered joints behind the cluster. The dials can start moving all over the place, or not even working at all, and then you start getting Pac-Man impressions with the odometer. So generally, if anything like that happens, the cluster tends to have a bad solder joint. Most of them have been repaired by now, or have had issues come to the fore by this time, but there's still some that generally they can go. Now, my advice will be to send that cluster to a place like ECU testing. They'll literally send it to them. It'll be back with you in about 3 to 4, 5 days, depending on what work they've done. But generally, these are known cluster faults, and they'll probably charge about 75 quid. And the best thing of all, you don't lose your mileage if you're bothered about that, because a lot of people, sorry, I've got the elbow there. A lot of people generally they go on Facebook or eBay and they ask, "Oh, has anybody got an instrument cluster around 100,000 miles?" So no, just get it sent off. I know you want a cluster that's got similar mileage, but just get it sent off. It's not too much of a big deal. So no, I would just get it sent off. At least you know that it's been repaired, and you're not buying a second-hand one. It's going to go again, because it is a common problem. Second thing is, as I'm going to demonstrate, oh dear me, the electronic tailgate switch, which is a fantastic bit of design. Sorry about the lighting. That's better. They do tend to go. It's not the fact that you need a new switch. Believe you me, they all do the same thing. You do have to push it hard, and mine doesn't work. Now, there's two reasons why it might not work. The first issue is something you can check very obviously. There is a wiring loom that goes straight through the top of the roof into the boot. It controls the wipers, the number plate lights, the heated rear window, and the tailgate release switch, right? If that is broken, if the wiring is broken and not working, then there'll be, you know, there'll be other telltale signs. The wipers won't work, the heated window won't work, the number plate lights are not working. There will be definite telltale signs that that the wiring is broken. Usually it's one or two things, but I know that's not the case for my car. What it is with this switch, and this is a second possibility, is that you've got a little rubber, it's like a little rubber coin. You've got to take the switch out and split it apart into two halves. And there's a little rubber coin that pushes against the contact plate. It can get a bit dirty. So just get some rubbing alcohol on the contact side. Just give it a good clean, put it back in, it will start working, guaranteed. Mine stopped again. Unfortunately, they just get dirty and they just don't form a very good contact, and you do have to push it hard. So that is just a really cheap fix. Don't get another switch, because it's just going to happen, you know, 6 months later. They all go like that, even the aftermarket ones. They do make these as aftermarket ones, but they're all the same. Steering wheel lever, it can wear in the sun. It's just something you can't really see. This is the worst bit. It's something you can't really avoid. They get sunburnt. Just give it a leather clean and a moisturize every 6 months. You will notice the difference, just to preserve it. You can get the steering wheels like leather trimmed, but that's expensive. That's really expensive. So do you want to go for that expense? Radios, the original radios, if you haven't converted to a double DIN or touchscreen or those fancy ones, or just a single DIN, you know, like a Sony, and the fascia panels you could get with it, these can suffer from, again, a dry solder joint in the tuning section. Most radio electrical repairers, they'll be able to repair one of these. They'll strip it down and they'll find what it is. It's usually a dry solder joint again, and usually what happens is, I'll just demonstrate. It usually goes in the tuner section. So you press the tuner and it stops. It finds another channel, okay? But what happens when the tuner goes, it just continuously goes and it will not stop on any channel whatsoever. So that's the sign that that's also gone. Also, something to keep in mind, this contact plate, if it's not flush, the radio won't turn on. And usually, if I can, oh, come on, I can't even get it off. That's a good start, isn't it? Sorry, I need two hands for that. But basically, behind here, there's a load of brass contacts, which makes sure that all this contacts, and then it basically, it keeps the radio turned on. Some of them may be a little bit bent. So you want to make sure that made good contact with the back of this removable faceplate. Otherwise, the whole radio doesn't work. Other issue that can happen, there's heater cables that control the air temperature and air distribution. Particularly air distribution, the flaps can get a bit sticky. That can cause drag on the heater cables. And the heater cables go this way. They go to like an air distribution board just down here. You might have to take this this lower panel off, but basically you just maybe need to re-grease the runners sometimes if they get a bit sticky. Mine, you see what I mean, it does get a bit sticky there. See, they can get a bit sticky, but just make sure that you're not too heavy-handed, because if people do, damn, oh, my cable snapped, and then it doesn't do anything. And getting the cable out is a bit of a pain, I have to say. You have to take the whole fascia panel out for that. and they're not cheap from Ford. I think the last time I looked, they're about 50 quid. I will put some parts numbers for that, by the way, because it is something that can snap. But otherwise, if you're gentle, you grease the runners, it should be you shouldn't have any issues. The other issue, I should get out the car to show you this. There is a pollen filter seal that meets the plastic scuttle panel where it meets the windscreen on this side, just where my finger is running. Now, when people change the pollen filter, people do not change that seal, and you should. If you do not change that seal, you risk that water doesn't deflect left or right and go down where it's supposed to go. It goes straight through, ruins your pollen filter, goes straight down, ruins your fan, because water goes into the fan, it starts rusting the spindle, and that's going to cause another issue, which I'm going to tell you in a second. You'll get water on the floor down here, which will be the most obvious sign. There'll be wetness. Because the heater fan is starting to seize on its spindle, you'll need a new fan. Well, it will sound really bad, I can tell you that. The heater resistor, which is located just further in there with a Phillips screw, very easy to change, that will blow because of the strain that the fan is putting on the electrical system of the fan. So the resistor will go. That will cause, basically, the fan will only work on number 4. That is the non-resisted side. 3, 2, 1 is where it goes through the resistor, where the resistor is actually working. So that's what will happen if the resistor blows. Sometimes the resistors just go. They are a wearing item. It's a natural, common problem with these cars. If they do go, don't worry, because you'll know if it only works on 4, it's gone. But as long as there's no damp down there, and even to suggest that the fan's making a noise, that there's water getting into the car, then don't worry, just change the heater resistor. But sometimes it's because someone hasn't changed a seal, the filter's wrecked, the fan's making a noise, and the resistor has blown. That's an expensive job for one seal that costs 15 quid. Change it when you change the pollen filter. Otherwise, it costs you a lot of money. It's quite simple to do if you want to change the fan. 3 little screws hold the glove box on, and then there's 3 bolts underneath. Drop the fan, unplug the connection, put the new fan in. The heater resistor is held by a Phillips screw and an electrical connection. It's really easy. It's really easy. But what's far easier is to just change the seal on the scuttle panel. The scuttle panels can be a bit fiddly to get back in place, but please, honest to God, just change the seal. Don't think, oh yeah, that's okay, that will hold from water. You're taking a huge risk, because this will cost you at least about 60 to 80 quid if you did it yourself. If a gouger's doing it, a fan, a resistor, a new filter, a new seal, you're looking at about 150 quid. Don't be stupid. I've seen that happen so many times. It's probably one of the most common complaints, one of the most common problems for Mark 1 that we've seen down the years on the Facebook forums, and it drives me potty. How people just don't think that a seal is so not important at all. We'll just leave it as it is. It doesn't do anything, and people don't realise the consequences of water getting in the car and ruining several things. So I thought that's the most important thing I'm going to say in this episode. Really, honestly, spread the word about that. Change that seal. Apart from that, you do get clips up here occasionally breaking if you're not careful. Not everything fits perfectly, but it's okay. Honestly, you know, you just got to be very careful. Like if you're getting these A pillars off, these B pillars. These clips here, by the way, are unique to 3 doors. A lot of the interior trim panels are unique to the 3 doors. In fact, I will say everything from this point in the dashboard all the way to the back of the car is completely unique, including those panels where the seat belts go in. They're all completely unique. They are not, that you cannot interchange them with the 5 doors. So that's something to sort of be wary of. My car is equipped with, oh sorry, I was going to say about these B pillar trims. I'll put the parts number in. They frequently go missing. People put screws in. It doesn't look right. They don't hold. Put the proper clips in. My car from the factory, pre-facelifted, comes equipped with heated seats. Now, it's a facelifted model, not a pre-facelift. The pre-facelifted cars, they never came with heated seats, as far as I know. I believe they have completely different connectors under the front seats. They do not have facility for heated seats. I think people tried though, and you can always wire it in, but you just making a complete mess unless you know what you're doing. I've had to stitch this seat, and this needs focusing, please. This needs stitching, and I'll be taking this seat cover off, which will be interesting. Top tip: the heated seats, they're great when they work, but frequently, as people have said many times in the forums, excuse me, they break. Basically, the seat pad, not the backrest, the seat pad fails. When the seat pad fails, the backrest won't work because it's one circuit. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened to my camera then. It seemed to lack focus. It goes from the switch to the seat pad to the backrest and goes through a black cable to an earth point. So if one or either of them are broken, the other won't work. It's as simple as that. But usually it's the pads, because it's the one you sit on, it's the weighted one. Usually the elements just break, or the thermostat, which controls both, the temperature of both, that tends to pack up, or the wires tend to break around it. Some people find that soldering the wires back on does the trick, and the elements are perfectly fine. Mine were dead. So I bought a 12-volt eBay carbon fiber heated pad set, which fills the whole seat. It's sticky, it sits down really nicely. The ones on Ford, I could give you the parts number, but do you really want me to? They're about 150 for one. I'm not joking. That's more expensive than it would be to get a bloody whole set of these seats. So the idea of repairing it is you take the seat pad off. There's 4 bolts underneath this. You don't need to take the whole seat out. There's 4 bolts, 4 10mm bolts. Take them out. The whole seat pad will lift up. Undo the connections, because you've got the seat connection where it splits into 2 halves. Take the 10mm bolt out. It comes in 2 halves. You've got the seat part. You've got the wiring, the car's wiring loom part. Separate them. The car side will separate with the seat. Some of the wires, like the heated seat, will have a green connector that goes into the block. Take the green connector out so you can release this whole pad and take it aside, and then you can start stripping it. Take the hog rings off. There's hog rings here, and there's a few here. When I reassembled, I used all the old hog rings with long thin nose pliers. Just be very gentle. You don't need new ones, just be very gentle. However, here I've used very thin cable ties. You can get away with it. Reinstalling the hog rings in this section is extremely difficult. Don't try it. Just use very thin cable ties. You will not notice sitting on it. Honestly, it's the most brilliant repair ever. It was quick and easy. I managed to stitch that up. New heated pad. The wire for these aftermarket pads go out down the front, unfortunately, so you just got to push it past the sort of metal cup that this whole foam pad sits on. But once you've sort of hooked it through and done a little bit of cutting, you'll need to cut the aftermarket plug off and resolder the original green Ford plug on, so it bolts into the connection block for the seat. That's all you need to do. Hook it back up, and both worked. And on the same on this side as well. They are fantastic, cheap heated seat pads, and they work so well. And these backrests work just as well. In fact, there's not much of a difference between the temperature of both. The thermostat, which will come with this seat pad, works for the old backrest, so no problems. I've not heard where potentially that might not work, but honestly, far better. So that is really the biggest issue in here. You know, you got like usual trim panels that don't really fit that well sometimes. I think sometimes it's a bit funny. You will find it hard. This piece here that holds this manual mirror adjustment, only the CL and ZTEC models got these manual adjusters. So getting the trim panel to have one of these bungs fit on is actually quite difficult because the clips tend to break here. You've got to be very careful if you're ever releasing this, like you're changing the mirror or whatever. Or getting the door cut off, because you have to take this panel off anyway. The only ones I could find on eBay are electric adjustment, and these rubber bungs will not fit the electric versions. Obviously there's no hole, but there's like, you got the switch on the driver's side. They're not applicable. And these are quite difficult to get hold of, I will tell you that. I don't know what parts number they are. I might have a look for you, but to be honest with you, you wouldn't be able to find them. They're not obtainium. Anything else while I'm here? Heated screen. Yeah, I've got the beauty of a heated screen. They can fail on both sides. They can fail on one side. It's not the fuse, there's one fuse. So if one side is broken, I'm afraid there's an element that is broken on that side. So unless you get a crack in the windscreen, oh dear, we have to call out the insurance to get it sorted. They'll put a heated one in for you. I'm not advocating any dodgy business, but if you do have a crack in the screen, it needs replacing, have a think about it. Because there's some really good deals on through your insurance. If you do put a claim in for your windscreen, they will fit a heated one. I don't know if it's the exact same as the original, but it's a heated one. I think it's made to the same sort of pattern. These are mass-produced windscreens. Touchwood, mine still works. I very rarely use it, but it's something to just keep an eye on. But apart from that, there really isn't any issues. 3-door cars, yes, getting the door cards, the C pillar trims, the B pillar trims, the A pillar trims, you know, they're all unique to the 3 doors, so it's just something to be aware of. But apart from that, the switch gear is all reliable. Honestly, it's just the main things I've covered today are the things that break. Occasionally, if you've got a pre-50, I think a 52 plate, a sort of pre-2003 car, you'll have the old-fashioned cluster with bulbs, warning bulbs, proper little T5s, are they? They can sometimes blow. There's a few in here, they can sometimes blow. You'll know as soon as you turn the ignition on and a bulb doesn't come on. Usually it's a way of people getting around a dodgy engine warning light down there. But yeah, the pre-2003 ones have got LEDs, and if they ever blow, then you'll have to get someone to solder a new LED in, because they're kind of solid state. I don't like them whatsoever. I'm glad that I've got an earlier type cluster. There's nothing really to be said for the interior apart from what I've just said. Window regulators, they go on every car. I'm not going to talk about that. That's just something that every car has a problem with. But that's it, really. So next episode, possibly engine related. I'm going to go out the car and I'm going to show you the windscreen seal just before I depart. Okay, so I will see you in another episode. See you in a bit, guys. And this just sits in here. Don't think you can see that? Oh, there you go. Don't neglect it. See you in a bit, guys.